Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malabite.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai. The delectable Adesua. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
You have to look for an adjective for Adesua.
Yes. She deserves one. She deserves one.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's start with this day newspaper, Nigeria's newspaper of records. Of course, the newspapers are reporting the meeting of governors of the Southwest, 2 governors from the North, 1 from the Middle Belt, and the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria yesterday. This day lead story, Miyetti Allah agrees with governors in ban of open grazing. Underage, 9th heading, illegal occupation of forest reserves to be outlawed. Inyam Yusuf urged Buhari to take responsibility for the defense of Nigerians. Of course, those eminent Nigerians made those statements yesterday on the morning show. But if we look at the way this day is reporting it, the first paragraph there, troubleshooting efforts to douse tension generated by conflicts between herders and host communities, particularly in the Southwest, paid off yesterday as governors and the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, MAGBAN, rose from a meeting agreeing to ban open grazing, including underage and 9th heading. Now, straightforward, you would think, yesterday, Governor Fayemi took time on Arise News 9 to give a blanket blame on the media for reporting Governor Akeredolu's order in a certain way. Not all the media, at least a section of the media gave a slant that tantamount to quit notice from the state. And in fact, one newspaper that did that went ahead to write editorial based on that. But if you look at how the papers are reporting yesterday's meeting, then you will know that all newspapers cannot report the same way. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, I don't want to say they are recanting, but this is the lead story. No quit notice to Fulani in Southwest governors. Calm in Lagos, Oyo, others as police deployed to Hausa communities. Don't negotiate with headsmen, Yoruba leaders. Northern elders urge Buhari to meet governors. Security remains our priority, federal government. Now, look at the Daily Sun newspaper. Tension heightens. Governors endorse quit notice to headsmen. Says Ondo governor, after criminals, not Fulani. Now, let's look at another newspaper, a different slant. Akeredolu backs down. The Daily Independent newspaper. Akeredolu backs down, reaches consensus with Miyetti Allah. Mourners communities beg Igboho for support against herders. Miyetti Allah agrees to ban 9th and underage grazing. But if you look at the story, the way it is written by the Daily Independent, well, you would think it's a different event they covered. And it goes thus. After the meeting, the governor appeared to have redefined the order to suit the federal government and northern groups opposed to it. It went further to say, rather than sending security agents to the forest reserves to flush out criminals hiding in the forest and arrest herdsmen who flouted the order, going by the vacation order which expired on Sunday, Governor Akeredolu settled for a town meeting with Fulani herders. And of course, went further to say that all the rules read out yesterday were old laws known to the herders, which they have been flagrantly disobeying. Now, let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. Ondo ultimatum. Ondo government's ultimatum. Miyetti Allah concedes as herders start registration. Now, Southwest governors Jigawa, Kebbi, back Akeredolu's quit order. Ondo governor was misconstrued, Fayemi. And of course, the News Direct newspaper, Southwest governors ban open grazing, illegal occupation of forest reserve. The Nigerian News Direct newspaper. Yes. Now, the Punch newspaper has its own lead story on the same event. Headers registration begins. Nigerian Governors Forum, Miyetti Allah, back Akeredolu's order. Governors' order stays despite peace talks. Headsmen start leaving Ondo Forest. So we have different perspectives of this story. But of course, we must also look at the Guardian newspaper that has a different lead story altogether. And this is also quite national in nature. Federal government's revenue shortfall debt weakens Central Bank of Nigeria's intervention. CBN financing deficit is highly inflationary, according to the Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Could complicate efforts to bring inflation under control, according to Fitch. Takes time to fix disparity between revenue and expenditure. Of course, experts are quarreling with the federal government's repeated recourse to the option of ways and means. And this is raising concern in the economy. Some think this could further weaken institutional safeguards that preserve credibility of policy making and the ability of the central bank to control inflation. And it's also stated that, in fact, revenue-generating agencies of government are going into a situation where they don't do their job and use most of the money they generate as overhead because government resort to debt and printing of money, ways and means, which of course is not new to governments around the world, but the way the federal government is using it perhaps is also raising concerns amongst experts. But if we quickly look at what is happening in the UK, the Guardian newspaper of the UK, the Guardian of the UK, Prime Minister to impose airport quarantine despite pressure to ease lockdown. Of course, Boris Johnson is expected to sign off sweeping new quarantine rules for travelers in airport hotels today, as he is under pressure, the Prime Minister is under pressure from Tory MPs to set out a timetable to ease the lockdown. But just before I turn to you, in the US, the Washington Post is reporting trial to focus on Trump words. Yesterday, the impeachment managers presented the article of impeachment to the US Senate, and the managers, according to the Washington Post, are scouring rioters' social media to build their case, while the Justice Department watchdog also announced on Monday that they had opened an investigation whether any of the department officials tried to undo the results of the presidential election in collusion with former President Donald Trump. So a lot of things happening there in the US, but that impeachment trial, which will start in a couple of weeks, is surely taking off, as it were, with that presentation of the article of impeachment to the Senate. Ruben, Rufai, and Adesua.
It's one for the TVs, definitely. They're going to give Trump the limelight again. It's been off limelight for a while. He's been playing a lot of golf, like I hear, because I've been following some of Newsmax. But you're going to give him a lot of limelight once again when this starts. I thought they were going to let the matter rest a bit. At least, Joe Biden does, some good work as regards, rebuilding the trust and confidence of the American people, vaccination and the likes and things like that, rather than start this television showcase again. Because it's going to be a very long-winded one. And just for the records, I can predict how this is going to go. You're going to have the likes of them, Alan Dershowitz and Professor Turley, come defend Trump on their side. And it's going to be very hard to prove that he said inciting things. But either ways, he might be nailed because of the balance of power. He might not be nailed, but most likely he will be nailed because they want to teach him a lesson. But I always ask a very critical question. What next? Are you not going to make his base stronger? Is his base not going to come after you in 2022? I mean, the next midterm elections? Are you not going to make them stronger? Because what next? Yeah, you want to punish him. Doesn't need to come into public life any longer. But the question you should ask yourself is, what next after all of this? And that's a strong question the Democratic Party should be asking themselves. Do they want to be distracted by all of this? Concerning the meeting yesterday, I mean, that shows how interested the media is. You can see various people have reported it in various ways. Some are saying, oh, he balked, the governor balked. Some are saying, good move by the governor to bring about peace in that area. But what is key in all of this is there's going to be different editorial slant to the issue at hand. But we cannot take away the facts of the issue. What are the facts? Banditry is going on. A lot of killings, a lot of kidnappings. That's the problem of ground. Let's even take out the ethnic coloration to it. It's a crime going on there. What we should concern ourselves as a nation is how can we solve that crime and make it better for everybody. Why there are many non-state actors in talking about this crime is because the state actors have bucked their responsibility. When we ought to have dealt with this as a nation, we have not dealt with it. And that's why we are putting all sorts of coloration we want on it. One thing is certain. If we don't start to provide solutions to our problems, non-state actors and overnight heroes will come and they will take the day and take the center stage. Because this is a center stage. Well, as a nation, we need to go back and introspect on how we can fix our nation, and the government should wake up to its responsibility.
Well, Efeni, it's good that you did a review of the report of the meeting called at the instance of the Nigeria Governors Forum in Akure, Ondo State yesterday. But if you look at the slant of the various stories, there will seem to be a greater emphasis on Ondo State and the decisions taken by the Ondo State governor, and how there is now a meeting of minds around some of those decisions about the ban on open grazing, about underage herders, about the need for registration, with some of the newspapers placing emphasis on that, and the Miyetti Allah also agreeing with the governors of the Southwest in the presence of the governors of Kebbi and Jigawa to abide by many of those regulations. Now, this is not the first time this would happen. We have had similar meetings in the past. We encourage dialogue, the maturity, with the wisdom, but will it be sustained? Will the parties respect the terms of the agreement? I said the emphasis is more on the Ondo part of it. But I think that where the big challenge is in the drama that we have witnessed in the last 2 weeks is actually in Oyo State, where you have an activist called Sunday Igboho who does not seem to be on the same page with the governor of the state. And I cited earlier when we were looking at some of the stories during the headlines that, in fact, overnight, Sunday Igboho's house was touched, was set ablaze in what is now being interpreted as some kind of reprisal attack over the incidents in Barakpa East, in Igongon. Now, we hope that we're not going to see a chain of revenge killings or attacks in Oyo State. And so the work of the Governors Forum and the other stakeholders is cut out for them. There is a lot more that needs to be done. But we take a short break now. Thank you, Efeni.